Thank you, Hilla. I'm delighted to chair and address the panel on fighting oppression, defending human rights, at a time, as we heard earlier today, of resurgent authoritarianism on the one hand and democratic recession on the other, which makes the courage of our human rights heroes, our defenders of human rights and democracy, all the more compelling and inspirational. This summit has showcased and heard from dissidents, former political prisoners, human rights defenders, and families of the imprisoned, including Ensaf Haider, the wife of imprisoned blogger Raif Badawi, Antoinetta Lezama, the daughter of the imprisoned Caracas mayor Antonio Lezama, Julieta Lopez, the aunt of the imprisoned leader of the democratic opposition in Venezuela, Leopoldo Lopez, Yang Jianli, who just chaired the previous panel, himself a celebrated former political prisoner, Vian Dakil, the voice of the Yazidis, and as we just heard of Yizma Golag, who suffered unbelievable torture as a Tibetan monk imprisoned in China. And still other voices for the voiceless in the panel to follow. But I want to highlight, if I may, several other political prisoners so that we can know about and speak about those who cannot be heard, to bear witness on behalf of those who cannot testify, to act on behalf of those who are putting not simply their livelihood, but their lives on the line. They are Ayatollah Bourjedi, known as the Mandela of Iran, now in his 11th year of imprisonment, being denied critical medical care for doing nothing other but advocating for freedom of religion in Iran, for standing up on behalf of the persecuted Baha'is in Iran. And I just want to mention, because I think it has gone rather unknown, that just a month ago in January, 24 Baha'i were sentenced to more than 193 years of imprisonment in the court in Gogan. They deserve, too, to be remembered and to act upon. Second, Biram Da Abied, the imprisoned leader of the anti-slavery movement in Mauritania, a country which has the highest number of enslaved people per capita in the world today. And as an example of the Orwellian character of his case and cause, he was imprisoned at the very moment that the government of Mauritania adopted an allegedly anti-slavery law, yet he was imprisoned for being the leader of the anti-slavery movement, while Mauritania has not yet prosecuted any of those who've been engaged in slavery themselves. A third is Walid Abu al-Khair, the lawyer for Raif Badawi, sentenced to 15 years imprisonment himself. In fact, a sentence increased on the occasion of the flogging and torture of Raif Badawi. And so we have the criminalization of freedom of expression in the case of Raif Badawi, and the criminalization of the right to counsel in the case of Abu al-Khair. We have, therefore, not only the silencing of the voices for human rights, but the imprisonment of the voices for human rights. And finally, may I close with two political prisoners who have a specific Canadian connection. The first is an imprisoned Iranian-Canadian, Saeed Malakpour, sentenced on trumped-up charges, tortured in detention, family threatened, now himself in his 9th year of imprisonment. And Dr. Wang Bizang, a doctor from China who came to Canada to McGill University in 1979, received his PhD from McGill in 1982, decided that it was more important to devote his life to the pursuit of freedom and democracy in China than to pursue his medical career. Fast forward to 2002, meeting in Vietnam with some trade union people, he was abducted by the Chinese authority, brought back to China, sentenced in less than half a day on charges of both treason and terrorism, and sentenced to life imprisonment in solitary confinement, where he's had a series of debilitating strokes. His family, Canadian citizens, died without ever seeing him released. His siblings have not yet been able to witness his freedom. And his daughter, Tiana Wang, a second-year law student at McGill University, yearns for his release, as we do all. And let me now turn to the defenders of human rights that are gracing our panel, and I'll begin with Dr. Orban Kemal Cengiz, a human rights lawyer in Turkey, a journalist and commentator in Turkey, at a time when journalists are being silenced and imprisoned, as are the human rights lawyers who would defend them. Dr. Cengiz.